Archie here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you enjoyed my chat with the maintenance engineer at Toronto Pearson. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about a few of my model airplanes. I just started collecting them, so I don't have many, but I hope you enjoy. To start off, this is my Delta 767-300ER. This is a Darren Skymarks model, and the scale is 1/150. It's very, very detailed, and it's bigger than other model airplanes. It's got very big wingtips and a long wingspan. The engines are very, very detailed and pretty. You can see at the back, you can see the insides of the engines. One part I really like about this model, you can see the cockpit windows are very detailed too. There's even the windshield wipers here. You can see the sensors for angle of attack and speed. On the side, there are no details missing. You can see the registration and the American sign because Delta is an American carrier. The passenger windows, the two emergency doors, and you can also see the cargo doors and the entrance doors. This plane has a missing APU exhaust. It's not painted on here, but I don't think anyone would really notice this missing detail. Also, the horizontal stabilizers and the vertical stabilizer has no details missing. There are the lines to show the flaps on the stabilizers. The tail actually looks very, very pretty. They've got all the color schemes correct. And this plane is actually really big, and I got it on Amazon.ca for less than $50. I think you would really, really like it if you got this model. For the detail, not a heavy price, and it would fit nicely with your collection because it's an older plane. In real life, this model, its registration is N178DZ. It was made in 2000 in May off the assembly line it came from Boeing. Of course, it's a 767. It went to Delta brand new. It's been with Delta for 20 years. It's a 20-year-old plane. It's worn 3 paint jobs of Delta. It's wearing Delta's most current one currently. It flew currently on February 3rd to Kansas City, and it actually went into a little shed, not a gate. Maybe that's just for maintenance, but I don't know. But I've seen that Air Canada's planes actually, before they go to the airplane boneyard and make their final flight, they actually head to Kansas City to that same shed. So I'm not sure if this plane is still operational, but it might still be operational. Maybe it went there for some maintenance, but I'm not sure. And overall, it's a very, very nice model, detailed, cheap, and very, very big. And that's concluding this model. This is my Etihad Boeing 787-9. It's a 1/200 scale, and it's very detailed, just like my Delta. It's got those nice Trent 1000 engines. On the inside, you can see the fan blades from the back. It's got these flexed up wings, and the paint job here, they did it very, very nicely. You can see that eagle that Etihad has on its planes. It's got all of this detail here. Cockpit windows are a little bit big, but that would be okay for me. The engines are very, very detailed. No problems with those. At the back here, it does have the APU exhaust. Vertical stabilizer up here. It looks very, very good with that line inverted, and the horizontal stabilizers too. This plane is A6BLA. It's supposed to fly on February 9th from London to Abu Dhabi. It recently wore the Choose Singapore paint job, and recently they took it off of this plane now. A6BLA was actually Etihad's very first 787, so it's quite special, and it's a 6-year-old plane from 2014. This plane, I got it from AliExpress, less than $40. It's a very, very good size. A bit smaller than other airplanes, but it's about the middle size. Not as big as my Delta, but smaller than, for example, a 1150 A320. So I think it would be good. Of course, it's a different company. It's Herpa, actually, as you can see from the different stand. The stand over here itself looks very, very nice with all of the Etihad Airways logo, and it says Boeing 7879. I think that's a very, very nice stand for this plane. That concludes this plane. Next here is my Darren Skymarks WestJet 737 MAX 8. This is probably my prettiest plane of all of them. This is in WestJet's brand new paint job. It's got these nice big WestJet letters and this nice turquoise tail over here going all the way to the back fuselage, taking up the whole back fuselage of the plane with the Canadian leaf right over here. You can see a bit. Of course, all of the details here are normal. Nothing wrong with this piece here. Of course, the passenger windows, the evacuation slide doors, and the entrance doors, and the registration. This plane in real life is a normal 737 MAX 8 with WestJet. It's been in Marana, Pinal Air Park, its whole life. That's an airplane boneyard in the United States, in California. Then it recently flew to Toronto on January 29th, and it's parked here. That was the only flight recorded so far of this plane. This scale is 1/130, and it's very detailed with this. Of course, all of this is smooth, but then there's this big hump over here on it. I think that's very, very detailed. Over here, you can see it's got the sharp winglet ailerons here. And on the wings, it's very, very detailed. You can see the speed brakes, the slats, and the flaps. Everything's on here. The engines, they look really, really good. The inside is just very advanced looking, and you can see these sharp sharklet pieces over here. I really, really like those. And then the sharp back, that's a nice feature to the engines of this model. It is missing the APU exhaust once again, but I don't think that's a problem because then there would just be this gray piece at the back, kind of ruining the turquoise piece at the back of this tail. Over here you can see the horizontal stabilizers are detailed, but just to make the tail look better, I think they did this. There is no line on the rudder, so that's a bit off of detail, but the main part of this model is probably this back fuselage piece. Another part I love about this model is these split winglets it's got. They put all the detail on these winglets, the WestJet logo, some blue over here. Then the inner part of this winglet, it says WestJet.com. The passengers on the wing seat can see that. Of course, on this side it says the Spirit of Canada, and on this side, in French, it says the Spirit of Canada. This model is a little bit smaller. Of course, it is a narrow-body jet, but for the 1130, it's pretty small, but probably the MAX 8 is a really small plane. So it's a decent size, smaller, once again, than most other models. But other than that, it's pretty good. I got this model from AV World, and I think everyone, once again, would like this model. It's a great model to have. It looks really, really good. Next up here is my Lufthansa A350-900. This scale is from Darren Skymarks, and it's 1/200. It's very, very detailed. It's got pretty engines. On the inside, the engines look very split, like knives on the inside. At the back, these engines are very, very thick. You can see the fan blades on the inside through these little holes. This plane actually does have APU exhaust here, which I quite do appreciate. It's got big horizontal stabilizers, and I don't really like that. I think it's a little bit ugly, but maybe that's just the way the plane is. It does have a little small tail with the bird that Lufthansa has. It's in the new livery. Its winglets here, they're like shark winglets. They have the Lufthansa bird on the outside, and they have it on the inside. The wings are very, very detailed. It's got a flat roof and then this big hump. Probably this is the beacon to talk to air traffic control on there. On the side, it's also detailed. It's got the registration and the German flag because Lufthansa is a German carrier. It's got the passenger windows, the Lufthansa symbol of the letters. It does not have the logo, but that's the way the paint job is. It has all of the doors on correctly, and I'm pretty sure this is painted. It says over here Airbus A350-900. Of course, this is the symbol with Lufthansa, the Starline symbol. It is a member of Starlines Lufthansa. This plane also has painted on those little sunglass pieces that I think looks really good on all the planes. These are like sunglasses to a plane. It's all very nice, the cockpit windows. And I don't believe that these windows are tinted, so it still looks nice, but isn't bad for the pilots. Overall, this plane is very, very nice. I got this model from AV World in Toronto. It's a nice store. You can buy all kinds of things, including this hat I have here, and lots of nice airplane models. They have Gemini jets and Darren Skymarks, and their models that they have are very, very detailed. They're right beside runway 24 right at Toronto Pearson. It's basically their store, a road, and then the runway. You can watch planes arrive and take off from that runway. It's a very nice plane spotting location. I even made a video there. Overall, this model is very, very nice. It's got a very long wingspan, and a cool part of these engines, when you blow in them, they actually spin really, really fast, which is pretty cool, and it looks like the engines are actually turned on. And this model is good, and it's a very medium size, not too big, not too small. It's pretty with the new Lufthansa paint scheme. In real life, it came off the Airbus assembly line in February of 2019. It recently flew from Chicago to Frankfurt and then is going to come back again. Those are the recorded flights of this plane at most recent. So other than that, this is the best plane that I really like it. Of course, it's not got that missing APU exhaust. It's perfectly there. But the only problem, the horizontal stabilizers are too big. That's really good about this plane. It's got a nice stand. It goes up like it's climbing. On to the next model. Next is my JetBlue Airbus A321-200. This is a really, really small model. It's the smallest model I have, but it is quite detailed. It, of course, is missing all the little antennas and everything, but that's really the only missing problem. It's got actually the stab trim detail near the horizontal stabilizers, like right over here. It's got a nice tail. I like the tail that JetBlue put on this actual plane. JetBlue's planes actually have very unique paint jobs. For example, their Airbus A320s have this bubble paint job on their tails. This one has very nice, those long engines. They're very long, but of course they're hard to get in, of course. On the back of these engines, you can't see the fan blades. They're actually big holes over here. They're just circle cylinders, actually. This plane does have very tall winglets, and of course it's half painted on here a little bit. This plane is N903JB. It's of course an Airbus A321-200. It's 7 years old. It came off the assembly line with Airbus in 2013 of September, and it's been flying with JetBlue ever since. Its latest flight was from Orlando to an unknown destination, and that's the most recent recorded flight. It also says something over here with JetBlue, bigger, brighter, and bluer. Of course, that's probably resembles to the name JetBlue. It's scale 1/150, though it is 1/150. It's really small, actually. I wasn't expecting it to be this small, but if you like smaller planes and you don't have a big space for your models, this is the right model for you to get. It is missing the APU exhaust, but that is the only problem with this plane that I actually have. Other than that, it's a nice, small, compact plane with a pretty tail to have. Of course, I'm trying to get an A321neo too, but I also decided to get this plane because I like these long engines. They also have that detail saying jetblue.com. And other than that, there's nothing wrong with this plane. I got it from AV World, of course, once again. As I said earlier, they have very nice models for people to buy. On to the next model. My next model here is my KLM 777-300ER. This is my newest model airplane. I got it about 2 weeks ago at the time of this video. It's a 1/200 scale and it's very, very pretty. The engines are very detailed. You can see the KLM signs on both of them. They're also really, really huge, just like the real GE90 engines on the 777s. The back is also quite pretty. You can see the inside of the engines too. And in here you can also blow into these and they'll actually spin. And one thing I really like about this model, they took lots of time to do this. They made the flat APU exhaust here on the 777s that they have, and the side piece of the APU exhaust is actually painted on here, and I really appreciate that. It's got a pretty tail for something like, for example, an Emirates or British Airways paint job. I'm pretty sure they would make this tail very nice. And also this tail over here, it has the KLM crown and the big letters. This is not in the old paint job, this is in their new paint job, with not just it going straight, it actually comes down, going to the front of the plane. And this plane actually, unlike my other models I've shown you today, involves landing gear. The landing gear is rollable, it does not turn, and it's not like a hydraulic landing gear. It just stays in this position and does not move. You can roll it and take it off of this stand, but I prefer it like this. The stand is also very nice. It says Boeing 777-300ER scale 1/200 with the huge KLM symbol. And the wings are absolutely huge, you can see. I like these spiky pieces they have over here. That's very nice. And this is actually a really big model. It's the biggest model I have, and maybe the only models smaller than this one could be the 747 model, 1/200, and the A380. Other than that, this would be the biggest model you could get. Very detailed, very nice. This plane is PHBVN. It's a 5-year-old 777. It came off the assembly line with Boeing in February of 2015, and it still flies today. At the time of this video, it's flying from Amsterdam to Seoul. You can search that up on your resources if you want. And it's a normal flying plane, and it's probably going to have another 20 years of service. So on to the next model. This is my favorite plane I have right now, and my next plane. Next model here is my extremely little tiny Douglas DC-10, McDonnell Douglas DC-10-30 variant. Now you might notice some stuff. The engine is missing here, and also I do have a different stand of it. I do like this stand, and I don't actually have the original stand that came with this plane. It's a really old one. So, to start off, this is a 1/250 model, and I do not know the company of this plane. I got it from the airplane shop, and it's really nice for a tiny little plane. I actually lost the engine on here. It came off, you can see the little hole here. And also I have lost the stand too. So I decided to put this stand, but it's quite good, it suits this plane. The downward piece over here looks like the gear is actually inside. That's a detail I appreciate. And the engines are quite detailed on the back. These are DC-10 engines here. You can perfectly see. If you've seen a FedEx MD-10, you'll probably agree with me because MD-10s are just the newer type of DC-10, so they still have these engines over here. And it has this little hump piece that they have over here on the MD-10s, which are DC-10s. The cockpit and all looks nice. This is a different material. It's plastic, I believe. The wings aren't the most detailed. They do have a few of the speed brake and flap lines, and it's just a very little tiny model. Of course, it's in the Northwest Airlines paint job. The paint job is done very nicely. The tail is great, but the engines don't move. They're just put in there like that. And it's just a nice little tiny model to have. This plane is N226NW. It came off the assembly line with McDonnell Douglas in March of 1980, so it's a very old plane. It was with Swissair, and then you're probably wondering then why is it in the Northwest Airlines paint job? In 1992, Swissair gave it to Northwest Airlines. Northwest Airlines kept it until 2007 and gave it to ATA Airlines. So then they had it. Then ATA Airlines put a new registration on this plane, and then they finally gave it to World Airways. And they kept it for 2 years, from 2007 to 2009. And then in 2010, its registration was canceled and retired. And status of this plane is stored in an unknown destination. So it's had a pretty nice time. It actually wore 2 liveries of Northwest, the old livery and this new gray livery I have here. And other than that, it's a nice detailed model. It's not too huge, you can see it's about a bit longer than my hand, but for something small, if you're just starting collecting models and you want a classic like this one, I would say this is the perfect model for you. And I got it from the airplane shop for a pretty good price. But over that all, it's pretty good. And on to the next model. Next, and my last but not least plane here, is my favorite little tiny classic, my Air Canada L1011 TriStar. This is a very nice little plane. Of course, I made sure to keep it very safe. It does have a few scratches on the third engine here, but that's about it. I've lost the bottom piece of the stand, so I took this glass piece and connected this piece to this and put it on here. I really like the detail on this model. They are missing some humps and something here, but that's okay because you don't really need those on a little model airplane. The cockpit is perfect. It's painted on here, I'm sure. And this is plastic on these wings here. Engines are plastic too. It's got the little details and the ailerons pieces here on the wings. This side here, it's got the cargo doors, a little one over here. It's got all the entrance doors, the classic Air Canada letters with the Air Canada sign. The little Air Canada main pull leaf here with the green background. It's mostly pale white, but that was the style with Air Canada a long time ago. Getting into the details, this plane has that little thrust piece at the back of L1011s. This is, I'm sure, the piece that made L1011s go really fast. There was no back piece sticking out, so I like this detail over here that they have. With the tail connecting over it, that's really nice feature on there. You can see the engines look very pretty. They're not actually connected to the wing, which is one special thing about the TriStar. They're actually hung by these engine pods here. That might be a bit dangerous for a plane, which is probably why they don't do it, but it makes a plane look really nice. And the engines won't interfere with the wings. The engines are just stuck in there, they don't move, and no holes over here, but the engines are good enough. They're also really tiny, but it's okay. This plane is registered as CFTND. It's had a career from 1973 to 1989. In 1973 of March, it came off the assembly line with Lockheed, and it came to Air Canada starting off. And then it went to Air Lanka as 4RALG, and then Air Lanka kept it for 1 year and gave it back to Air Canada. Air Canada kept it for a few years, then gave it to Gulf Air. Gulf Air kept it until 1984, and then gave it back to Air Canada. Air Canada had its final years with this plane and then took it out of service, as I said, in 1989. And then it went to Pinal Air Park, Marana, stayed there in the desert of California from 1989 to 2000, where it was scrapped and recycled, and now this plane is history now. But it's a pretty old plane, so I'm okay with it. At least they can make devices and many other things out of it. So it's put to good use. So this is a very nice little plane. I got it from the airplane shop, just like my DC-10-30. These two I got from there. They're a good little size. I like these two. I can keep them up on a shelf over my computer. They're nice for you to have and just look at. They're great, and that is the final model that I have so far. I just wanted to show you, this is my Qantas 747 picture here. It's VHOEH. It was the final 747 that did that special flight around Melbourne before heading to Los Angeles and then later to Mojave to be scrapped. This is also a picture of it actually flying around Melbourne. This is it making that turn with the city down here. Someone snapped a picture and I decided to print it out and cut it out and put it here. It's a very, very nice picture that I just wanted to show you. Thank you for coming back to my channel. I hope to make a second video of my airplane models when I get more. Once again, like, subscribe, and click that bell. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave in the comments down below if you'd like me to buy a special plane for you to see. Thank you for watching. Bye.